Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's lesson I'm gonna talk about the 3D touch. Okay, so with 3D touch you now have three new ways to interact with the iPhones: quick actions, pick and pop. Quick actions are essentially shortcuts for your applications. So when you press an app icon a little harder, like here, it shows a set of quick actions, each of which allows you to jump straight to a particular part of an app. It simply saves you a few tabs, okay, like here. Okay, cool. And even when I press this row, okay, cool. So let's get started. So as a demo, we will modify the Cafegram project and add 3 quick actions to the app. New cafe, discover cafes, and show favorites. Okay, so I only want to enable these quick actions after the user goes through the walkthrough screens. Okay, so to create a quick action programmatically, just need to instantiate a UI application shortcut items property of UI application. Okay, to create the quick actions, let's create a helper method in the walkthrough view controller class here. Okay, so maybe just right there you can write mark 3D touch methods. Okay, and here you can write Frank create quick actions, okay, with empty parentheses, and then you open brackets. Okay, and here you write add quick actions if threads collection dot force touch capability is equal to UI force touch capability dot available. Then if let bundle identifier is equal to bundle dot main dot bundle identifier, then let shortcut item 1 to be equal of UI application shortcut item, okay, this one, open parentheses, and you select this one. Okay, and then you write bundle identifier dot open favorites. Okay, then here show favorites. Here you write nil, then icon is UI application shortcut icon, this one. Okay, open parentheses, you select this one, and then you write favorite shortcut. And finally, for user info, you can write nil. Okay, cool. Okay, then you can copy paste these two lines for the two other shortcuts. Okay, so here and here, simply change the number, then like this. Okay, and now we have to change the name. Okay, so here it's open discover, like this. Then here it's discover cafes, okay. Then here you are going to write discover shortcut, okay, and for the last one here you write new cafe, here you write new cafe 2, okay, then you let nil here, and here I think you have to change it to the other parameter, so not template image name, rather type, okay, this one, and then simply write add like this, okay, and here you can let nil, okay, cool, and then you write simply UI application dot shared dot shortcut items is equal to an array of these shortcuts, okay, so shortcut 1, then shortcut 2, then shortcut 3, okay, cool. So in the above code we first check here if the device is 3D touch capable. From iOS 9 and onwards, the threat collection class comes with a property called force touch capability, which indicates if the device is enabled with 3D touch, okay. The rest of the code is pretty much the same with what I have covered before. We create 3 quick action items, each of which has its own identifier, title, and icon. For the Discover Cafe and Show Favorite shortcuts, we use our own icons, okay? So where should we call this create quick actions method? Do you still remember how we indicate a user has gone through the walkthrough screens? We set the key named has viewed walkthrough to true into the user defaults after the user completes the walkthrough, okay? This line of code can be found in the next button tabbed method and the skip button tabbed method of the walkthrough view controller class, okay? Therefore, make the call create quick actions after the code above, okay? So here you can copy the function and then go to look for these methods and write just right below the method, okay, like this, and then here I think yes, here like this, okay. Now we are ready to go. Hit the run button. Okay, so if I skip and I go back by pressing Command Shift H here, normally it should work. Yes, as you can see, show favorites, discover cafes, and new cafe. Okay, cool. I'm going to add quickly a new cafe for the demo. Okay, so here the quick actions are not ready to work yet because we haven't implemented the required methods to launch the quick actions. In the iOS SDK, there is a method called perform action for defined in the UI application delegate protocol, okay? So when the user selects a quick action, this method is called. So we will implement the method in app delegate.swift, okay? So let's first here maybe declare an enum for the quick actions in the app delegate. So enum, then quick action to be type of string, and then you write case open favorites is equal to open favorites. Okay, then case open discover is equal to open discover, and finally case new cafe is equal to new cafe. Okay, then init like this, okay, with full identifier to be type of string, okay, and then guard let shortcut identifier is equal to full identifier dot components separated by a dot, okay, last else return nil. Okay, and finally self dot init raw value shortcut identifier. Okay, so the enumeration type in Swift is particularly useful for defining a group of related values. In the quick action enum, we define the available quick actions in each case. We also create an initialization method that turns a full identifier, okay, into the corresponding enumeration case. So now implement the perform action for method in the app delegate class like this. So maybe here perform action, this one, okay, and you can write completion handler open parentheses. Here you can write handle quick action open parentheses shortcut item to be type of shortcut item. Okay, and then we are going to create this function, okay, here private func handle quick action with one parameter shortcut item, okay, UI application shortcut item, which returns a boolean, okay, and then we can write let shortcut type to be equal to shortcut item dot type, then guard let shortcut identifier. Actually, guard let is the same statement as if you use iflet, okay, it's more secure and easier to write, okay, but it's the same thing than the iflet statement, okay. Here quick action full identifier shortcut type, okay, else return false, and with a guard let statement you can write the return case on the same line. Okay guys, cool. Then guard let tab bar controller to be equal of window dot root view controller as UI tab bar controller, else return false. Then we use a switch statement here to change the shortcut identifier. If it's open favorites, then tab bar, oh man, tab bar, controller, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Dot selected index is equal to 0. Okay. Otherwise, if it's case dot open discover, then tab bar controller dot selected index is equal to 1. Okay. And finally, case new cafe, then here you have to write if let nav controller tab bar controller dot view controllers, okay, then let cafe table view controller is equal to nav controller dot children. Okay, okay, and maybe you have to write, no, I'm going to write it here, it's for Swift for users, it's child view controllers, okay guys, and then here you can write cafe table view controller dot perform segue, here it's add cafe, and here cafe table view controller. Okay, okay, else return false. Okay, and then here you can simply write return true. No, not here, rather here. Okay, so when a quick action is activated, the perform action for method is called, the selected shortcut is passed as a parameter. We created a separate method which we will discuss later for handling the quick action. When the quick action is complete, you are expected to call the completion handler with an appropriate boolean value depending on the success failure of the quick action. Let's now talk about the handle quick action method. It takes in a shortcut item and has a switch statement to perform the action accordingly. For open favorites and open discover, we simply change the selected index of the tab bar controller so the app jumps right into the particular screen. Okay, it takes a little more work for handling the new cafe action. We need to first retrieve the cafe table view controller from the tab bar controller and then programmatically invoke the add cafe segue. This will open the new cafe screen directly. You can now run the app and see the results. The quick actions should now work. Okay, guys? Okay. Okay. Cool. Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to talk about pick and pop. Pick and pop allow your users preview content without opening the actual screen. Okay, as the user presses more deeply in a view controller with pick and pop enabled, the app first responds the user press to indicate that content preview is available and then displays a preview of the content. Okay, when the user presses even harder, it pops into the full view of the content, like there. Okay, so in iOS 9 or later, you can configure view controllers to support pick and pop by using predefined methods in the UI view controller class and adopting a view controller protocol named UI view controller previewing delegate. Okay, so we will modify the Cafegram app to support pick and pop in the favorites tab. Okay, cool. So the Cafe Table View Controller class is the source controller of Pick and Pop. To allow users to pick its content, the very first thing is to register the class for Pick and Pop. Insert the following lines of code in the view load method. Okay, so here Pick and Pop if thread collection dot forced capability is equal to available. Okay, then register for previewing with self as UI view controller previewing delegate. Okay, and the source view is view. Okay, so we first check if the device is capable of 3D touch and then call register for previewing to itself to participate with 3D touch preview and commit. Okay, to handle pick and pop, we have to first adopt the UI view controller previewing delegate protocol and implement the two required method. Okay, so up till now, when a class needs to adopt a protocol, we use to append the protocol in the class declaration like this. Okay, here there is nothing wrong with this approach. However, the code becomes cluttered as the class adopts more and more protocols. I have introduced a Swift feature known as extensions in earlier videos. Extensions allow you to expand the functions of an existing type. You can also make use of it to adopt a protocol. Let's see how it can be done. Okay, so first of all, copy that. Go here, for instance, maybe here, and add the following code snippet to the end of Cafe Table View Controller. Okay, here extension, okay, like this, and then you can write UI View Controller Previewing Delegate. Okay, like this. Then you open that, and we're going to wait for this red dot, okay, because it's going to propose us some methods, some compulsory methods. Okay, so the first one is view controller for location. So here we are going to write guard let index path is equal to table view dot index path for row at. Okay, and here we are going to use this parameter as it's the location, okay, else return nil. Okay, cool. And then guard let cell is equal to table view dot cell for row at index path, else, oh man, return nil. Okay, and finally guard let cafe detail view controller is equal to storyboard dot instantiate view controller, this one, okay, with an identifier which is cafe detail view controller, okay, as cafe detail view controller, okay, else return nil. Okay, cool. And finally, let's select it cafe is equal to cafe dot index path dot row, okay, then cafe detail view controller dot cafe is equal to selected cafe, and cafe detail view controller dot preferred content size to be equal to CG size, okay, this one, okay, 0 and then 460, okay, and then previewing context dot source rect is equal to cell dot frame, and finally we return cafe detail view controller, okay, and here we simply write show, okay, here view controller to commit, so this parameter, and here you can write self, okay. So in the code above we create an extension of cafe table view controller, okay, as you can see here, that adopts the UI view controller previewing delegate protocol. In the body of the extension we implement the two required methods by using an extension to implement a protocol. As you can see, you're automatically grouping methods by their scope, okay. Your code looks more organized and easier to read. Let us look into the implementation of the two methods. When the first method is invoked, the location of the touch is passed as a parameter of a CG point, okay. From this piece of information we can deduce the selected table view cell, okay, here. UI table view provides a method called index for row at that takes in a point and returns you an index path identifying the row of that given point. With the index path we can easily find out which cell has been selected, okay. The cafe detail view controller class has been designed to display the cafe details, okay. Therefore we use it as the previewing view controller. First we instantiate the view controller from storyboard, okay, here, using the Cafe Detail View Controller identifier. Like what we have done in the previous video, we assigned the selected cafe to the Detail View controller, but as the preview only takes up a certain part of the screen, we want to limit the height to 460 points. This line of code is optional. If you don't set the preferred content size, it will still work. iOS just displays the previewing view controller with the default size. Lastly, we set the source rect. Okay, where is it? This one. Okay, property of the preview context. Before the app previews the content, the selected cell remains visually sharp while the rest of the content blurs. The last line of code simply tells the preview context that it should keep the cell visually sharp. Okay, now that you understand how we handle pick, let's look into the implementation of pop. The second method is very straightforward. It presents the commit pop view controller. In this case, it's the detail view controller we have created earlier. As the detail view is actually embedded in a navigation controller, we call show to present the view controller. That's it. However, before testing the changes on the simulator, remember to set the identifier of the Cafe Detail View controller to Cafe Detail View controller. Okay, so here, otherwise you won't be able to instantiate the controller programmatically. Go to main.storyboard and select Cafe Detail View Controller. Okay, here under the Identity Inspector, here, okay, set the storyboard ID to Cafe Detail View Controller. Okay, and press enter. You're good to go. Run the app in the simulator. The Cafegram app should now let you pick and pop a cafe. Okay, so here if I press a little harder on this row, it's very nice. You can see the pick and pop action. Cool. That's it for today's lesson, guys. See you in the next one. Bye bye.